Coming up on Gameball College Kickoff, we break down last week's football forecast matchups in our first segment. In our second segment, we're going to get into detail about how California, at the beginning of the year 2023, will allow college athletes to profit off their names. And our third segment, as always, another football forecast coming up on Gameball College Kickoff.
What's happening, everyone? Welcome to Gameball College Kickoff, where the football season never ends. It's your boy, Michael Riley.
And I'm Luke Hartnett. Together, we're holding down Marcus Jovel Jenkins, who can't be here due to a family commitment, and we're holding us back. Marcus, we'll see you next week.
We got your back, brother. And we're going to, in our first segment, break down Week 6 matchups and recaps. First, we're going to start with Iowa and Michigan. With the score, Michigan winning 10-3. Break this down.
I didn't think it'd be a high-scoring game. In the Big Ten, it rarely ever is. I mean, you get your classic 14-10, 21-17 games. Then that 21-17 would have been a shootout compared to what this was. I believe Michigan got a very early 10-0 lead. Iowa kind of countered with the second quarter field goal, and that was the wrap. Michigan 8 sacks. They had an edge on defense. They exploited that edge, and great coaching by Michigan to be prepared for a really good Iowa team that I believe you, me, and if I'm not mistaken, Marcus, I think we all three had Iowa taking this one.
It was a unanimous decision.
So Michigan bouncing back. I didn't think they had it in. They needed overtime to beat Army. They got absolutely housed at Wisconsin a few weeks ago. So, it looks like Coach Harbaugh might have them back in the thick of the Big Ten East.
We were all food. I was not expecting this from Michigan, and they bounced back the last two games after being criticized that lost against Wisconsin on the road, getting smacked. Michigan's defense won them this game. After the offense got an early touchdown, they struggled to move the ball and get in scoring range for the rest of the game. So give kudos to Michigan's defense. They responded well against a very talented Iowa offense. They had 8 sacks, like you said. They had 1 or 2 interceptions, maybe a forced fumble to go along with it. They were just all over the place. They shut down the run. They was able to keep them out of field goal range out of the red zone area, and was able to force 1 field goal and the rest of it 3 out and turnovers. So wait to get back on the drawing board. But their Achilles heel is the offense. If the offense can find a way to pick it up and get it going and score more points, then Michigan can be legit on offense, but it's just their offense is holding them back, and that's a big question mark for me.
All right, moving on. We got Auburn. They went into the swamp. Another unanimous decision where we were all wrong on. If you ain't Gator, you're Gator bait. Florida, the takedown War Eagle, 24-13. Mike, what observations come away from this one?
I did not expect Florida to play like that. I mean, I thought it was going to be a low-scoring game, but Florida was able to put 24 on a very good Auburn defense. Florida's defense, man, they're the real deal. They got depth at the defensive line just like Auburn, and their secondary showed up and showed out when they need to, forcing Bo Nix, the freshman quarterback, to throw ill-advised interceptions and all that. And Florida had an excellent game plan. They executed it well, and they was able to win on at home against a good, very Auburn team. Now with Auburn, too many turnovers. After a couple sacks, it went downhill from there. And I didn't know what Bo Nix was doing, throwing into double coverage where nobody was open like that. I mean, in the end zone, he could at least, not the end zone, but the red zone, he could at least take it up for the score. And defensively, too many missed tackles. So, in order to get back into that championship conversation, offense, defense needs to be fixed quick, or their dreams could be goodbye.
The only Florida game I got to see all 4 quarters of this year so far is still the opener against Miami. But I remember that was a game played in Orlando, and if you recall that fourth quarter, the game was 89 degrees at kickoff of that game. And how strong were they in the fourth quarter? I mean, they were just relentless. 90-degree heat in Orlando, fourth quarter. They just were. I mean, they were as strong as you've ever seen them. So they didn't wait till the fourth quarter to get it started this time. They got a sack first play of the game. They was able to play from ahead. They got an early, I shouldn't say an early lead, but they had a 14-6 second quarter lead, and they just kind of grinded it out, made it a Big Ten style game. And as long as Florida can rush the quarterback, they'll be able to compete with anybody. A lot of good games left for both these teams. They both have to get Georgia coming down the stretch here. They both have LSU coming up. Florida this week actually. And, Auburn, they got the Iron Bowl. Florida in a non-conference game has Florida State at the end of the season. So there's a lot. We'll see these two teams plenty in big-time games here on out.
All right, next one, Texas 42, West Virginia 31. Break it down.
This game went pretty much as I expected. West Virginia scored a little bit more than I thought they would, although they got a couple of window-dressing fourth-quarter touchdowns, which is kind of when the game was already out of reach. Texas, at least on the offensive end, they certainly weren't looking ahead to Oklahoma. If they were, they disguised it very well. Of course, it's kind of hard to look ahead when you're playing a road game as well, especially a conference road game. And while this is probably the least talented West Virginia team since the Big East days, they're still formidable. They can still beat some teams. They had a very, very, very grinding victory at Kansas a couple weeks ago. They had a 17-point win over North Carolina State, I think, a week or two before that. So they got some potential there. I think West Virginia's probably a year away. Texas, we'll get more to them in our third segment when they take on Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry in Dallas this week, which could be a Big 12 championship game preview.
Well, for Texas getting the win, their defense stepped up big time, except for garbage time, of course. Their defense played excellent, was able to hold West Virginia to the minimum score until at the end. And the offense, they just getting it done. Passing, running the ball, offensive lines blocking well. Sam Elliker is playing his best football so far. And if he can do that against Oklahoma, they'll be in good shape to win the Big 12 and possibly get into the conversation of the college football playoff. For West Virginia, they got a long way to go. They got to get back to the drawing board of what happened offensively and defensively. If they can fix those things, they'll be all right.
Something that worries me about Texas going forward is they gave up 45 in a home loss to LSU. They gave up 30 to Oklahoma State. They're not giving up 31 to West Virginia. So at some point, they got to bend in the red zone, force more field goals. Because, I mean, at this point in the season, they're going to surrender yards. That's been established. You're not just going to stop giving up yards, midway through the season. Got to get strong inside the 20-yard line, force more field goals.
All right. Last one, Michigan State 10, Ohio State 34. Break it down.
Ohio State's the only team in college football that makes me ask the question, how do you beat them? How do you beat them? I mean, Carolina had Clemson on the ropes. Notre Dame and Georgia went toe-to-toe with each other. They're both, semi-beatable. Texas, albeit in a defeat, hung 38 on LSU. Alabama, the thing about Alabama is, while Clemson laid out a blueprint on how to beat them in the championship game last year, you have to have the talent to do it. Ohio State has the talent to do it. But I think they're a more complete team. I like Ohio State a little bit better on the defensive side of the ball. I like their special teams a little bit better too.
I agree, and their pass rusher Chase Young, he is special. He may not have the sack numbers against Michigan State, but his impact and his presence makes a difference for his other teammates make the plays. He was disruptive in the passing game. He was disruptive in the running game, getting off blocks, causing havoc. Now, Ohio State's offense, Justin Fields, man, he might be end up winning the Heisman. This dude is a play-making waiting to happen. If he can beat you throwing the ball, he can beat you with running his feet. I'm just like, it's clicking on all cylinders. And that running back Dobbins was beasts and just getting after it, just taking y'all long yards, run, and all this other
Got
stuff.
off to a slow start, but stuck with it. Didn't get deterred.
Exactly. And Michigan State, boy, they need some cleaning up to do. Offensively, it's their Achilles heel right now. Their offense is anemic. Their defense is good, but the offense is struggling. If they can find a way to clean up their offense to go on with a good defense, they could be in some games.
All right, that's going to do it for our first segment. In our second segment, Mike and I are going to go into detail about what's going on with the state of California and how college athletes will be able to make a profit beginning in 2023. That's going to come up on the other side of the break.
What's happening there, everyone? Welcome to Gameball College Kickoff, where the football season never ends. Second segment, break it down for us, Luke.
Well, as you have it here on the sheet, in a move that puts California on a collision course with the NCAA, Governor Gavin Newsom has signed a bill effectively allowing college athletes in the state to earn compensation for the use of their likeness, sign endorsement deals, and hire agents to represent them, as I mentioned in the first segment, beginning in 2023. Other governors are expected to follow the same steps. Mike, is this a good move for the NCAA athletes to finally be paid?
Yes, it is a very good move. And because we all know that NCAA is a billion-dollar business industry, and we all know that. It's been corrupted since day one for a long time with all these rules with athletes. You can't do this, you can't do that. At least you're getting education. Your college is played for blah, blah, blah. There is more to that. And they're be taking advantage of. Why is a coach getting paid millions of dollars just to coach kids in college sports? And why is boosters making all this money off these college kids? And you see why they're going out and breaking the rules of accepting gifts, taking money, all this stuff, so their families can be all right. And most of those come from living poverties and all this other stuff that are less fortunate, really don't have no choice but to take gifts and all this other stuff. So going forward, I do like this move, and hopefully all the governors will allow to sign it, and it could be fair. They're not asking for millions and millions of dollars. I'm like, they just want to be compensated for a little bit of change or something, so they can have some on their back, go get some shoes or some extra clothes, or give their family who need a little few $100s here and there to pay some bills. That's all they're asking. It's not like they're demanding a lot. They're just asking for a little piece of change, and I don't have a problem with it.
I think it's a lot better than, taking money from boosters under the table or whatever else. Now, I'm kind of going to go a little into left field here, but I think what this could ultimately happen, and about 8 to 10 years ago, I used to work at 580 WWW at Topeka. There were some guys I worked with. There were some other guys, the radio business. We got to talking one time before. Not sure how it never made the national media or how it never gained any traction. What I ultimately think is going to happen here, and it's kind of, it pertains, well, I suspect it'll be the Southeastern Conference. An idea that was being tossed around, which again, I don't know how this is going to make any more national news than it did, is that the SEC is basically going to break away from the NCAA and become their own entity. That's why you hear every once in a while rumors of Oklahoma or Texas, maybe signing with the SEC, maybe Clemson, maybe Florida State or Miami or whatever else. Become like basically a 20-team conference and become a minor league NFL system where players can be legally paid over the table. Now, they would still be academic universities. They would still have, you throw Kentucky in there in their basketball program. So I think what this bill being signed in California could do, and the Pac-12 actually might beat them to the punch since they got 4 or 5 teams at the state there anyway, as well as some Mountain West Conference schools, San Diego State and Fresno State amongst others, San Jose State too, I believe, I think what you can see is, conferences become like I just, enlighten their own entity, pay players over the table, and basically generate their own money, NCAA excluded.
Yeah, you think that would be a good idea and all that? And what's your thing?
The NFL has no real minor league. They have no early entry. Basketball, they got the one and done rule. Hockey and baseball, you can get drafted out of high school. Football, you got to be 3 years removed out of high school. That's why the only time you hear sophomores getting drafted is their redshirt sophomores. They redshirt their freshman year. They play 2 years experience after that. True freshmen, they got to play 3 years. But so when you're more or less forcing kids to go to school for a minimum of 3 years, sounds like a minor league to me.
Yeah, you might as well do it like that and all that other stuff.
Additionally, sorry to interrupt you there, but additionally, the NFL, they don't. It's not a global game the way baseball, basketball, and hockey are. Hockey, they're drafting guys from Eastern Europe, from Russia. Baseball, they're drafting kids from. I mean, they're getting Asians in there. They're getting Koreans, Japanese baseball leagues, South America where you can play baseball year round. The Dominican, these guys are all fair game for the draft as well. Basketball, they're hitting all of Europe for the draft, amongst other countries as well. Yao Ming coming out of China, for example. So the NFL doesn't really have that global base of guys to draft from like the other sports do, and I think it's really beneficial for them. One thing I would like to see if that does happen, though, I think that they need to mimic the NFL rules a little bit more. Bring the hash marks in, have a 2-minute warning, keep the clock going after a first down, so on and so forth.
Yeah. I see it will have an impact going forward. Now, the NCAA is trying to fight it, but if all governors, senators come to agreement to where they'll pass this bill and it'll end the saga of NCAA using kids for their benefits and all this other stuff while they just being left hanging. And that will do it for that segment. Coming right up, next segment is the forecast, games, predictions, and matchups. So stay tuned. Coming back on Gameball College Kickoff.
What's happening, everyone?
Welcome back to Gameball College Kickoff, where the football season never ends. Last segment, forecast, matchups, and predictions. Oklahoma versus Texas, the Red River rivalry. Break that down.
Both teams got some high-powered, experienced quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts, although it's his first year in Oklahoma, I think we all know his track record. He's a very experienced quarterback, given some time at Alabama, and he's started right away there, if I'm not mistaken. Then both teams, they've given up a little bit of points this year. Oklahoma, not so much, mainly because they've been able to get a lot faster starts than Texas has. Texas has been in the. I could think off a hand, 2 times that Texas has been behind in the second half this year. Oklahoma, they hadn't been behind until they were down 7-0 to Kansas over the weekend. So I think of Oklahoma, they're almost going to be the same in this one. Get an early lead, score early, score often, and against this Texas defense, I think they'll have some opportunities.
Well, for Oklahoma, for me, they haven't played the games that Texas has played, like the LSUs and the Oklahoma States. I think those games are harder than the other games that Oklahoma's played, but at least it got them physically and mentally prepared for this matchup. Now, if Texas defense can find a way to slow down that Oklahoma offense, force a 3-and-out, turnover, or force field goals, they won that battle. And their offense who can score as well and run the ball effectively. That's what Texas needs to do and win time and possession battle. If they can do that, they'll win this game. Now, for Oklahoma, I'm not concerned about the offense. It's the defense that concerns me because they struggled early parts of the game against Kansas, but they found a way to stop them from scoring a lot of points for the rest of the game. You're going against Texas, a much more high-powered offense than Kansas was. So if Oklahoma's defense can find a way to stop Texas offense, they can win this game.
All right, moving on. A night game at Notre Dame Stadium, which doesn't happen too terribly often there. USC comes calling to play Notre Dame.
Wow, two head-to-head matchups. Teams do not like each other. USC, for order them to get a win in a row, they can't make mistakes offensively. They got to establish the run and be consistent in the passing game. Don't do nothing too stupid or fancy. Just get like some completions going, get your quarterback's confidence going, then take some shots down the field because you got the best receiving core, one of the best receiving core in college football. So if they can do that and take advantage of one-on-one matchups, they can win this game. And defensively, you have to stop Notre Dame's running attack. You got to force them to be one-dimensional. If you can do that, you can win this game. Now, for Notre Dame, defensively, you have to make USC a one-dimensional offense. They got a true freshman quarterback who's inexperienced in these type of games. So you want to throw everything at him. You want to come with heavy blitzes. If you can do that, you will be able to ride them and you'll win on defense. Offensively, just ground and pound, play smash mouth football, eat the clock, score some points, and get the win and call it a day.
USC, I don't know if I think they're as bad as the team that lost to BYU in overtime. I don't think they're as good as the team that beat Utah either. I think they're somewhere in the middle there. Notre Dame, they know their identity. There's no fool's gold for the Golden Domers there. They know who they are, what they're about, what their mission is. They lost to Georgia earlier this year. They lost to Georgia last year as well, still made the playoffs. So they still got a whole lot to play for here. Not that USC doesn't, but USC also lost their starting quarterback week one. They were down to their third string. I'm not sure what the quarterback situation is now for SC, but they'll be going against a stacked deck. Moving on, we got Penn State and Iowa from Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City in another night game.
Iowa had a bad taste of their mouth on the road against Michigan. I mean, they played good enough to win that game, but offensively, mistakes cost them. Penalties, turnovers, and just the mental mistakes cost them the game. If they can erase that mental mistakes and move on from that game, they'll be able to bounce back offensively. Defense, you have to play a lot better. In order to stop Penn State's running attack offense, you have to stop the run game first and force them to be one-dimensional, force them to be pass-happy, force third down and longs. If you can do that, there's a chance for turnovers and also 3-and-outs and possibly turnover downs. If they can do that, Iowa will win this game. Now, for Penn State, they are going to a very hostile environment. It's going to be live. It's going to be crazy. And Iowa has a lot to play for, and they want to knock you off. Same thing as Penn State. They have a lot to play for as well. So if Penn State can get the running game going, play some good defense, be consistent, no mistakes, they'll get the win on the road.
Penn State, they won't be fazed by going on the road here. Even though it's Big Ten East and Big Ten West, these two, it's a crossover game. They play each other every year. Penn State also, I believe their last time out, went to Maryland on a Friday night. Pretty good Maryland team. They were momentarily in the top 25 there, and I won 59-0 over the Terps. So a little bit different animal they're going against this Saturday. Night game at Iowa City. I think it's going to be a great. Iowa does not play Ohio State this year. You can make the case that Penn State's the best offensive unit they'll play all year. Moving on, the showdown of showdowns, the Bayou Bengals of LSU. And if you're not Gator, you're Gator bait. The Florida Gators coming off a monumental win at home over Auburn.
This is the game of the year, in my opinion. Other games could be it. For right now, it's going to be the game of the year. You might as well say game of the week, but this could be the game of the year. Take that back. For Florida, they're going to Death Valley, a very hostile environment. The crowd noise, energy is going to be crazy. A lot of emotions is going to be riding up, and everything is riding on this game. The winner will have sole possessions in others divisions, one in the East, one in the West. So for Florida, they have to play that same intensity as they did against Auburn. Defensively, make some good plays, make some stops, force 3 and outs, and get turnovers against a very good LSU offense. Now, Florida's offense, you're going up against a dog LSU defense. Well, I mean, dog, they get after it. They are some rough riders that play physical defense, so it will punch you in the mouth. So, no mistakes. Take what the defense gets you and get some points. Because if you can do that, you can win on the road in a hostile environment. Now, for LSU, offensively, against Florida's defense, you got to find some weaknesses. You got to be aggressive. You can't take no shortcuts. You got to take some chances. So if you can do that offensively, you're successful. Now, defensively, if they can make Florida a one-dimensional offense and shut them completely down or close to it, they did their job and they could get a big win at home.
Same thing with Penn State and Iowa. Even though it's SEC East and SEC West, this is the crossover game. Florida and LSU play each other once a year, every year. So there's not a whole lot of unfamiliarity. These two teams know each other and know each other well. Both coaches, Dan Mullen's in year 2 at Florida, so the whole new coaching staff, you know. I thought he was there last year. Is he not? I thought it was the second year there.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, but last time Florida went to LSU, it was the game had to get rescheduled because of a hurricane.
Yes, it was.
And if you remember, Florida, I think they came up with a 17-16 victory. They came up with a big goal line stand there towards the end of the game and really altered the SEC rankings there. As I mentioned, I believe in our first part of the segment here, Florida, a lot of big-time games left after this. Still got the cocktail party in Jacksonville against Georgia. Still got Florida State come the end of the year. LSU, they still got games against Auburn. Of course, they got the game against Alabama, as they always do. And they have another game against Texas A&M to finish the season. So lots of it's a big time game. But the winner of this could find themselves in some even bigger games down the road.
Exactly.
All right, so time for the picks. Oklahoma and Texas and Dallas. Not playing in Jerry World. They're playing at the original Cotton Bowl. Dallas all the same. Mikey, who you like in this one?
I like Texas to win. Last year against Oklahoma, round 1, they got them. Round 2, in the championship, they lost. They still got a sour taste in their mouth. And they're the reasons why they went and got Coach Hummer for this big type of moments to get players and recruits for this type of game. And Red River rivalry, they hate each other. It goes way back in the day. So I like Texas to win. And they are battle tested. They play against Oklahoma State and LSU. For those reasons, I picked Texas to win a very close game, similar to last year, but a little less scoring. So I'm going to say 38-35 Texas. Hook 'em horns up, not down. Get you done.
I'm going to go the other way on this one. Texas, they kind of struggled with Spencer Sanders of Oklahoma State there a few weeks ago. He's a freshman quarterback as well. Spencer Sanders, his game is a very similar to that of Jalen Hurts, except I think Jalen Hurts just a little bit better. Just a little bit better. I think the Oklahoma offense in general is going to get them a lead that I don't think we got to an insurmountable lead because Texas can score. And that Oklahoma defense is suspect. I'm with you. I think both teams score in the 30s. I like Oklahoma to win 37-30.
All right, USC versus Notre Dame. Who you got?
I'm going with Notre Dame in this one. This is one of the more lopsided matchups in the at least in recent history of the rivalry. These two teams have kind of been on a level playing ground for the better part of the decade. But it seems like ever since Pete Carroll left for the Seattle job there about 10 years or so ago, there was kind of a little give and take right there. But Brian Kelly's got Notre Dame playing very well right now. They know who they are. They know who they got at quarterback. They know they're a stout defense. Even in a losing effort to Georgia, I came away very impressed with Notre Dame. And I think I I think their offensive line is better than USC's defensive line. I think their defensive line is better than USC's offensive line. So, I mean, whatever's going on at the skill position and quarterback play, almost a moot point at that point. So, Notre Dame did struggle a little bit against Virginia, found themselves behind at halftime a couple weeks ago. That's the last marquee opponent they played. I actually think Virginia and USC, there's a lot of comparisons between those two. So I'll go with Notre Dame by I'm going to go with them 31-17.
I'm going to jump on that bandwagon. I'm going to go Notre Dame over USC. Overall, talented-wise, offense, defense, special teams is way better than USC. And it's not even close. I'm going to go higher. I'm going to say 41-20. Notre Dame gets it done at home.
Time for the showdown of showdowns. You mentioned it, Death Valley, night game, LSU hosting the Gators of Florida. Who you got in this one?
I got LSU winning at home. Overall, I think they're a better, talented team, just a little bit over Florida. And that hostile environment, home ground, the way LSU offensively is playing, and defense will feed off of that. I'm going to say LSU gets it done at home. I'm going to say 40-25 LSU.
Wow, I don't see Florida giving up 40 to anyone this year. That defense of theirs is so strong and for so long, too. I mean, they know how to go for 4 quarters. I think Joe Burrow gets rattled a little bit. I like Dan Mullen over Ed Orgeron in the coaching matchup there as well. Florida is bringing a backup quarterback in there, but they know they got their backup in there for the rest of the season. I'm going to go Florida. I think Florida goes 23-20 in this one. Gators going to go to Death Valley and shock the college football world. I think the Florida-Georgia game that's going to be coming up in a few weeks is going to be, when the game is actually played, even bigger because I suspect Georgia will be undefeated going to that one as well.
All right, Penn State, Iowa.
Penn State and Iowa. I'm glad you mentioned that one. My apologies. That's going to be a classic Big Ten game right there. Iowa, they're a good team. I think they're better than the defense was outstanding against Michigan. They can no fault on their part right there. Penn State, a little bit more dynamic than Michigan is. I think they're a little bit more of a balanced attack. A home crowd will keep them in it, but I'm going to go with Penn State 17-10.
I like Iowa to win at home in a dogfight. They got a sour taste in their mouth. Their offense, they mess up, gave up a lot of points, left a lot of points out on the field, and defensively, even though they gave up that touchdown, they still held them to 10 points and gave their offense a chance to win that game. So I'm going to say defense responds a lot better, offensively responds a lot better in a very close dogfight. I'm going to say 20-13 Iowa over Penn State.
All right, that does it for Mike and I's football forecast. Find us on social media. Find me at Luke Hartnett on Facebook and on Twitter at Luke Hartnett2. Mike, I'm going to pass it to you.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Gmail, YouTube, all on the right side. To your left side, you can follow me there. And our clothing line website, we just uploaded it not too long ago, launched it. And get your gear, fitness, hoodies, hats, towels, everything that you see on gameballshop.ecwid.com. That's gameballshop.ecwid.com. And we can't forget our other brother who couldn't be with us today. You can follow him on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and other social media I can't get in my head, all in Jovel ENT. And that's one word, Jovel_ENT. Also on Twitter. Thank you for that. I'm Michael Riley.
And I'm Luke Hartnett. We'll see you next week.